Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a pretty simple, easy tutorial. It's going to be a mashup of 10 different visualizer effects. So some very simple stuff that you can do in Adobe Premiere. Very beginner friendly, but for those of you that are higher levels of editing, it's still nice to rebrush up on some of these effects, learn different ways we can combine them to create some of these unique looks. So we're going to be talking about some of the effects in the Trippie Redd Love Letter to You 4 visualizers that they dropped. So we're going to break them down, and then I'm going to hop into Adobe Premiere and show you how we can recreate these effects ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. The only thing that I want to say before we do start is I hope you guys have been having a good holidays so far. Thanksgiving just passed. Christmas is right around the corner. I haven't been uploading as much because my family's been in town, so I've been spending time with them. But I spent the time writing down ideas, and I have a lot of cool stuff coming soon that I think you guys are going to really like. So as always, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe if you do enjoy the content, if you would like to see the channel grow. And let's go ahead and get right into this tutorial, starting off with our first little effect here, our first little visualizer. If you guys actually just go to the Trippie Redd YouTube channel here, you can see it's in a playlist on the very front page. So you'll have all the visualizers front and center if you want to check them out yourselves. Let's go ahead and full screen this so we can start checking it out. So I want to go ahead and start with Can You Rap Like Me Part 2 visualizer. And there's a lot of crazy things going on here, and in my opinion, a lot of it is kind of thrown in together. It may be a little bit oversaturated and not as clean, but I want to dissect some of these effects and just show you how you can recreate this and then use it however you'd like. So you don't have to kind of combine it. You don't have to go after the same aesthetic that you're seeing in these videos, but I'm going to show you how to create some of these looks like this invert. We're going to start with that, and you can apply that in your own fashion. So here it is in the visualizer example. And now let me guys show you my rendition of that, which I actually made a while ago in this Future Joe Moses music video I did the editing for. I used that blue and red invert here as well to create a similar looking effect. Let me show you exactly how we can do that. All right, so we have our footage here. You guys can use whatever you like. I found that this works well with a lot of close-up shots. And of course, every footage is going to look different, so you kind of just have to experiment with it. So starting off the bat, I want to mention that I've actually dropped a free pack of some simple invert presets on my website. You guys can go ahead and check that out. It's 100% free to download. Link to my website will be down below. And once you have it installed, if you follow the instructions in the README and in the YouTube tutorial that I'll link below, it's actually very simple. You just have to search for invert once you have it installed, and you can apply any of these little preset effects that we have going on here for a variety of different looks. So if you would like to create this cool blue and red invert yourself, all you need to do is go to your effects and presets library. It may be over in the bottom left, or if you're in the effects workspace, it may be on the right, and go ahead and just look up a simple little invert effect, and it's going to be under video effects in the channel folder. Go ahead and drag that. Make sure that you're not dragging the audio effect invert. You want to use the one that is under the channel folder. Drag that onto your clip, and it's going to immediately invert the RGB. So you can see he's wearing red in the original, and basically it just flips. It's doing a normal simple invert. We're going to go ahead and add a few more steps onto this to kind of craft the look that we want, the blue and red invert. So step one, you go up to your effect controls with your clip selected here, and under the invert, you're going to want to change the channel from RGB to luminance. So you'll see right here, change it to luminance. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and grab another invert preset over here, drag that onto your effect again, and you're going to want to change the channel on that one in your effect controls for this clip to in phase chrominance. You'll see you have quadrature chrominance and you have in phase chrominance. Change it to that, and you're going to see we have some more changes going on here. And then we're going to add one more invert effect. Go ahead and drag that, and we're going to change that from RGB to red. And now you'll see that we actually have our blue and we have our red invert, and you can actually customize this a huge amount. If you'd like, you'll see our invert. You see for our options, you have this blend with original. What you can do is actually open that up and just kind of blend it around, and you'll see it kind of changes around the color aspect that you're getting. So if you want a more kind of teal looking blue invert, you guys can go ahead and blend and get something along those standards. So it's up to you. And of course, you can customize this however you would like. And of course, what you can do, you can change it. If you don't want red, you can try some of the other ones. There's green. You can go by different color channels. You can even combine these tips with color grading of the clip itself. So if you want to kind of isolate one aspect, maybe add contrast, you guys have the option to do so. Okay guys, on to our next effect, this bust down do 𝐏𝐑𝐄𝐒, I don't know how to pronounce it. And we're going to be talking about this simple little effect here, this little ultra key that you have going on. This one is actually a pretty bad example. You'll see that the keying itself is a little bit choppy. If you guys really want to have a clean key, if that's what you're going after, I recommend you watch the last video I made talking all about keying, building environments with green screen, and just a lot of overall tips when working with green screen as a whole. That video will help you. It's basically my ultimate guide to keying. This is just going to show you the simple little way where you can create something like this, where you remove something like the sky and then you place some little clip there. So to create this, what you need to do is, let's go ahead and hop into Adobe Premiere. We're going to use the ultra key effect. If you are in After Effects, you're going to be using the key light effect, or if you're in any other kind of editor, maybe you're in Final Cut, maybe you're in Sony Vegas, you want to search for something like a color key effect, anything that is going to key and take away our sky here. So search for our ultra key, and it's as simple as just dragging and dropping. Go to your effect controls for the clip. Once you've done that, you'll see here's our ultra key. You may need to expand it to see our options. Grab the key color, and then just key out. And if you want to have that real kind of choppy look, all you need to do is just slap it on there and maybe mess with some of the settings, see how it turns out. And another thing that I want to mention is it's not just turning the sky black. What it's doing is it's actually taking the white parts of the clip and it's removing it. So this is transparent here. We're going to go ahead and place a normal little transparent video here just as a placeholder. And I'm going to place this little VHS third-party plugin on it. So I'll just search VHS. This is the Red Giant VHS. And then in my effect controls, I can make this full screen and I can change what the VHS is looking like. So just to rehash what I said, it is very much a sloppy look, but if that's what you're going for, if you're just creating some sort of simple little trippy visualizers, then that is the way to do it. And on to the next one, Jungle Book. We have some cool stuff going on here. The primary effect that is going on is a turbulent displace effect. Here again, you see some of our inverts, a lot of the things that we've been talking about. You saw the ultra key, you saw some of that. We want to talk about this kind of crazy trippy distortion that is going on Trippie Redd's face right there. What you want to do is you want to select your clip, go over to your effects and presets again. So click effects. You're going to want to search for turbulent displace, drag it onto your clip just like that. And you'll see we already have some distortion going on, but we want to customize it so that it looks more like distortion that we're controlling and not just like a little funhouse mirror effect. To do that, we have a few options. Option number one, select your clip, go up to your effect controls. You'll see your turbulent displace options right here. You can change the type of displacement. So this is normal turbulent. There's bulge, there's twist. You guys can bump up the amount. If you start adding a lot of amount, you're going to get this kind of sapphire distortion looking craziness, which can look pretty cool. Size, that's going to increase the ripples size. So if you go really small, it's going to kind of just look like a looping effect. It's going to basically just look like this. If you punch up the amount with our slow size, you're going to see this is kind of the type of turbulent that we saw at the end of that clip where everything started getting a little bit crazy like this. So let's pop back in. So if you decrease the size, if you increase the amount, that's when you'll get those kind of bunched up look. And you can change the type if you want to kind of experiment with this. If you increase the size, that's going to give you more of this kind of wavy look, the more kind of traditional wave that you see in a lot of different movies, a lot of different music videos. Now, the way that I recommend you go about doing this isn't just to find your good settings and play it out. If you really want to make it look nice, I recommend that you do some simple little keyframe animations. To do that, you just drag to the beginning of the clip just like that. You go to your effect controls on the left, and let's say we want to change the amount and kind of make it look like this, or maybe change the size and have it wave out. Let's go with the size. Click the stopwatch here to initiate the animation, the keyframe. Drag to where you want the animation to end, and just increase the amount. And now you'll see here we've created two little keyframes, which you can now manipulate. Let's play that out. Now we have this kind of animated wave that just looks a lot nicer than if we were to just slap the effect on. So keep that in mind. Learn your keyframes if you guys are beginners. Another thing you may want to know, if you want this to be a faster wave, you can change the timing just by manipulating the keyframe. So if we drag this little keyframe out, if we drag this keyframe in, you're going to see the wave happens a lot faster. And if we drag the keyframe out, the wave is going to happen a lot more slow. Complexity and evolution, that's if you want to really get crazy with how the turbulence is working. You guys can, of course, keyframe any value. I would just recommend that you know what each value is really doing and how to manipulate it the way that you want. Try to turn to the sliders, see what everything is really doing, and then once you find what you like, then you can go ahead and keyframe it and make some crazy stuff. This, which I just created in a few seconds, I think actually looks pretty cool. You can even keyframe that so that that becomes its own little animation. All right, guys, the next visualizer up is the chosen visualizer. This is an effect that I've talked about on the channel a lot, and that is data moshing, and you're going to see that right there. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. The way that it looks like it was done in this visualizer is the original way, the original tutorial way that Just No Disho made. I made a video talking about it where you use a Vitamux. And that is a very easy way to do it. It still works. Instead of me taking the time to fully flesh out how to do that, I'm going to link you 2 different tutorials that I made. The first one is using a Vitamux, which is a software which you can find online for free. It's very simple, but it takes some tweaking of different settings and a few different steps. I'm also going to leave a tutorial to a tutorial I made about a data mosh plugin, which you can get for After Effects. So if you don't want to do all the steps for the free software, if you have the money to spare, it's not by me, it's created by somebody else. You guys can pick that up, and I actually have a full tutorial reviewing that, talking about it, and giving my thoughts. Check out the links down in the description. To save time, we're going to move on to the next one, but definitely look into data moshing if you haven't already. And now, next up is a Super 8 overlay, and you'll see these in both visualizers for Abandoned and Lovesick. More slower paced songs, and you'll see that there's a more slower paced, vintage looking editing to match the vibe of the song. So that's a big part of it. It's great to have a large collection on your computer of different overlays, different effects, different presets, different things that you can do to control the pace of the video. Now, when it comes to Super 8 overlays, it's very simple. Go on Google. Some people may ask, where do you find these overlays, or where do you find this? How do you do this? Google should always be your #1 step. You can find anything on the internet. 90% of what I've learned is from YouTube and Google. I didn't go to film school. All learned from the internet. So use that to your advantage. We're just going to look up Super 8 film overlay. Free. Now you can find free ones. Here you go. There's a free pack here. Just No Disho has a really nice high quality paid pack if you guys want to look into that. You go check it out. You find one that you like. One that I found on the internet. You can drag it in. I'll leave a link to this one below. Go to opacity in your effect controls. You might need to open that up. You'll see blending mode. Change that to something like screen, and you'll see it over your footage. And you guys can mess around with different blending modes to find the look that you ultimately like. There's hard light, soft light. If you want kind of a blend, I'm just going to go with screen so we can kind of get the bracket. But that is the basic essentials of it. Just finding the right clip that you want on the internet, downloading it, and then placing it in a video layer above and changing the blending mode. All right, guys, another simple one, another easy clip to use. And this is from the Lovesick visualizer, as you guys can see. So right there. So let me play that again. As you can see, film burns, and then it leads into our next clip. This in itself is a green screen clip which we can use. So I'm going to link you this one. You always just want to make sure that everything that you're using, downloading, it says you can use this free footage for your private commercial videos. So go ahead and download this clip, place it in a folder where you can find it, and then we're going to drag it into Adobe Premiere. All right, guys, once you have that clip, go ahead and drag it into your timeline in a video layer above your footage where you want to create this transition. And we may want to make this faster because this happens pretty slow and this is a pretty fast transition. So we could drag this out, or what we can do is right click on the clip and go to speed duration, and we can just kind of make this maybe 400 speed. Just look up some sort of color key, ultra key, some sort of keying effect to get rid of this green. In Adobe Premiere, we can use the ultra key effect. Search for that and place that on your footage, and then with your footage selected, go up to your effect controls, drag down, find your ultra key options. You may need to expand it, grab the dropper, and then just click on the green. And now we'll drag along a bit, and now we just need to do the same thing but for the blue. All right, guys, so once you've gotten to this point, once you have the green taken out, you'll see that all we need to do is take out the blue here, and then that'll complete our transition. So to do that, what you want to do is you want to select the first part of the clip here as well as this top transition part. So you can either hold down shift and just click on both, or you can just click and drag, select both the transition on the top and this original, right click and click nest, and that's basically pre-composing them into one clip, so combining them together. Click nest, click OK, and now if you drag along, now all we need to do is repeat our first step and add a color key and ultra key onto this to get rid of the blue to make this transparent. So go ahead and drag the ultra key effect or color key, whatever it is you're using, back onto that nested sequence clip. and then click up in your effect controls for this nested sequence clip. Scroll down to where the Alt key is in your effect controls, grab the dropper, and then just select the blue. And then what you guys can do is you'll see this is transparent here. We can just drag whatever clip we're trying to transition, and then you'll see it pop up there. So that's how we can create this cool film burn transition like how you saw. If you're seeing transparency still here, just make sure that it's dragged as far back as possible. If you have the Saber or Ecto plugin from Red Giant Universe, you guys can apply that onto there, just drag it onto the clip. I've made a few videos talking about this. I'll link the tutorials down below, and it's as easy as just changing the color preset to warm if you really want to kind of make it look like it's burning open. Alright guys, the next visualizer we're going to be talking about is the death visualizer, and we're just going to talk about something very simple here. So let's just try and create some little boxes, and then this is of course different footage, and they're just kind of making this big screen mashup, and it's pretty easy to do this. My main tip is if we go into Adobe Premiere, let's go ahead and just grab some more footage here. Select the footage, go up to your effect controls, and then a lot of people, what they do is they try and use these values here to try and scale, move things around. It's a lot easier if you just click this little box, this 4-pronged box next to motion. If you click on that, then it'll pop up these little tools, and it's a lot easier just to kind of position everything where you would like it. So say we want to have these kind of pop in and out, we can place one here. Let's grab another one. Click it, click the box, place it where you'd like, something like this maybe, and then we can make them pop in and out, and that's pretty easy. All you need to do is kind of cut in and out. So click Control K to make a cut, delete, maybe move a few frames. So I'll use my arrow keys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Control K, cut. So now one will pop in, then the next, just like that. It's pretty simple, so hopefully that does help. Next up is the Hate Me music video visualizer, and this happens right away as you click on it. You have this crazy lens distortion. We're going to talk all about that. You can even see some RGB going in on there. Let's go to our effects and let's look up lens distortion. Scroll down, let's try and find the built-in one. A lot of these are kind of preset looks for different cameras or corrections for lens distortion. So you're gonna have to pick through until you see the lens distortion effect, which is under the distort folder in video effects. Drag that onto your footage and then go ahead and select it. Go to your effect controls and scroll down until you see the control for our lens distortion here. All right. So pretty simple. What you can do is you can change the curvature, and that's going to kind of bend it. So if you want to simply do what they did at the beginning, you'll see what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing this value and just moving it back and forth. Now if you want to create the animation like you just saw at the beginning, what you need to do is just a simple little keyframe that is creating this that I'm just doing with the values. So start it really high. You can go -100 if you want, however you want to start it. At the beginning of your clip, where you want it to start, where you want this crazy distortion to start, keyframe it by clicking this little toggle animation button, and you'll see that our keyframe popped up. Drag to where you want the lens distortion to go back to normal or end, and then just drag the value to how you would like it. And you'll see our second keyframe popped up. So now if we drag to the beginning, here is what that's going to look like. We'll turn these off so it's easier to see. Just like that. So very simple, just one tiny simple little keyframe animation. All right, for our next effect, we're gonna hop back into this bust down visualizer, and we're gonna try and create this effect that we're seeing right here, this kind of grainy look that's going on. Now, what I'm pretty sure this is it's a posterize effect. If it's something else, leave a comment down below, give me some insight. If you go to your effects and presets, you can look up the posterize effect. It's under stylize, and you can change the levels for how far you want to take this. Now I'm guessing that what they did was they just mixed in posterize and then some color grading to get the distortion, and then color grading for the look itself. Of course the clip is always going to determine this. So what we can do is let's go ahead and bump up some contrast here, maybe lower some exposure. Let's go over to our curves, and we're just going to bump up the red, and then under basic we're going to want to lower the shadows and lower the highlights. Quick little replication of that look. You can see it has the distortion. Every single different shot that you have, it's gonna look different because there's different color scopes going on, there's different looks. Of course, there's a bright sky in the background. In those original clips, you didn't see a bright sky. So try and mess around with it, try and experiment, but those are the basic steps to get you in the right direction. And then our last effect, our last little simple thing going on here is this end part of the same visualizer we've been speaking on. You have this clip and you kind of see this ghosting effect going on. There's a few ways that you can do that within Adobe Premiere. The first way is we can actually duplicate our footage. So holding down Alt on our keyboard, we can click and drag up so that we now have a copy. And we can actually change a blending mode of this. So select it, go up to the effect controls, and then under the opacity section, you're going to want to open that up and change your blending mode to something like screen, overlay, lighten, darken. You can experiment with each and every one of these. Once you've done that, you're going to want to move this over by 1 frame. So go to the beginning of the clip, click on your right arrow key once or twice, however long you want this to be offset, and then just click and move the beginning of this to the offset part. And now as we drag along, you'll see that every single one of these shots is going to have this slight ghosting effect going on, just like that, because we offset the time and we change the blending mode so that it's this kind of ghostly look. Experiment with the different blending modes. Every blending mode is going to give you a different look. So here you can just click on this drop down and keep trying until you see one that you really like. The other thing that you can do is you can actually apply an echo effect. So we'll delete our original. We'll look up the echo, so ECHO effect. It's under our time folder. If we drag that onto our clip, select it, go to our effect controls in the top left. For the echo, what this is doing is it's essentially kind of automating that, which we just did in one simple little preset plugin without having to duplicate the footage. And within this effect, you can change the number of echoes, so basically the number of duplications. The K value is kind of like the brightness for the echo, so if you don't want it to be so bright when you apply the echo effect, if you lower that, it'll kind of blend it a bit more. That has been my 10 visualizer effects, all super easy. All have probably been talked about on the channel at one point or the other, but it's great to have these kind of big collaborative mashup videos, brushing up, showing you guys how to use things you may already know how to do, but in a different light, and just putting you guys on to some simple, easy things which you can do for your projects. Hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.